and Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Thank you. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahamsa Paravajikacharya Ashtotar that the Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajikacharya Ashtotar that the Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, who's going to set up Prabhupada's book? 7-10-7. All right, just give me a second here. I didn't know I was giving class, so. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiriyet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord who is glorified in transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Chad, can you pull the curtains and open the door? Get some air in here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 19th day of July, 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 10, Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees, text number 7. Yadi dasyasi me kaman valangs tvam vadadarshapha kamanam ridi asangroham bhavatas tuvine varam yadidasasi me kamam vadangstvam vadadarshapha Kamanam ridya sangroham bhavatastu vrinevaram yadidastasi me kaman vadangstvam vadadarshava kamanam ridya samroham bhavatastu vrinevaram yadidasasi me kaman vadangstvam vadadarshava kamanam ridya samroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. Yadidasasi me kaman vadangtvam vadadarshava kamanam ridya samroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. Yadidasasi me kaman vadangtvam vadadarshava kamanam ridya samroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. Yadidasasi me kaman vadangtvam vadadarshava kamanam ridya samroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. Yadidasasi me kaman vadangtvam vadadarshava kamanam ridya sangroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. Anyone online?
Yadidasasi me kaman
Yadidasasi me kaman
vadangtvam vadadarshava
vadangtvam vadadarshava
kamanam ridhi asamroham
kamanam ridya samroham
bhavatastu vrinevaram.
bhavatastu vrinevaram. Yadi, if dasyasi, want to give, me, me, kaman, anything desirable, varan, as your benediction, tvam, you, Varadarishaba, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give any benediction, kamanam, of all desires for material happiness, Ridi, within the core of my heart, asangroham, no growth, bhavataha, from you, to, then, vrine, I pray for, varam, such a benediction. Okay, I think we can close that door now. Thank you. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj, who's he speaking to? Nrsingadev, Lord Nrsingadev. He's praying to Lord Nrsingadev. So this is his prayer. This is what he really wants now. He was offered anything you want, so he's saying, O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. Please repeat. O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction. Best of the givers of benediction. If you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. Purport. Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu taught us how to pray for benedictions from the Lord. He said, Nadanang nadanang nasundarim kapitam ba jagadish kamaye mama janmani janmanishwade bhavatar bhaktida haituki tvahi. O my Lord, I do not want from you any amount of wealth, nor many followers, nor a beautiful wife, for these are all materialistic desires. But if I have to ask you for any benediction, I pray that in whatever forms of life I may take my birth, under any circumstances, I will not be bereft of your transcendental devotional service. Close quote. Devotees are always on the positive platform, in contrast to the Mayavadis who want to make everything impersonal or void. One cannot remain void. Shunyavadi. Sound familiar? It's in Prabhupada's Pranam mantra. Rather, one must possess something. One must possess something. Therefore, the devotee on the positive side wants to possess something, and this possession is very nicely described by Prahlad Maharaj, who says, quote, if I must take some benediction from you, I pray that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. Quote, close quote, the desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all material. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilitam mena tasmai Śrī Gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So this is kind of the culmination of the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. As we pointed out, some weeks ago when I gave a seminar in Chicago with Ramapad Maharaj, back in about 10, 12 years ago, he picked the topics, and one was Vandanam. Now, Vandanam is one of the 9 elements of devotional service. Now, it's interesting that Vandana means bow down, right? Vandeham Shri Guru. It means to bow down. But it also means prayer. That's in those 9 processes. There's prayers. It's praying and bowing down. So I studied some prayers, Kunti's prayers and other prayers, and I noticed that they almost always have 3 elements. Bowing down, literally. Namasye Purusham Tvajam. The very first word of her prayers is I bow down, as it is in Vandeham. And in her particular prayers, she had several prayers which she bowed down, and at the very last word of the prayers is Namaha. She bowed down. But in the interim, she's glorifying the Lord, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya. And she's also has a request. And believe it or not, the request is almost identical to Prahlad's. Near the end there, she says, Trayame anannivishaya mati madhubate sakrit ratamun vahataradha gange valgamadannadi. O Madhu's Lord, he was known as Trayame anannivishaya Madhupate, Madhu's Lord. O Madhu's Lord, Lord of the Madhu dynasty, O Madhu's Lord, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. As Ganges' torrent flows into the sea, let all my love flow constantly to thee. So here's a similar prayer. First of all, let's look at the prayer in the purport here, famous prayer of Lord Chaitanya. He's teaching us. He's, of course, Krishna himself. So he's taking the role of a conditioned soul, and he's praying. This is what he doesn't want. Mostly it's what he doesn't want, and then what he does want. So the usual thing, people go to God or they go to one of the gods and pray for wealth because they need the wealth or they want the wealth to enjoy. They need it to pay the rent, whatever. But that's the first thing he doesn't want. Nadanam. Or, it's crazy political season now, it usually goes on for years. Now it's coming to a big crisis, to a big crescendo on election day. Janam, followers. That's the whole thing. Let me get followers, and they'll prove it by voting for me, right? Najanam. Then, of course, the common thing that most men want is beautiful wife. Na sundarim. I'm not praying for a beautiful wife. And I'm not praying for kavitam. Now we know that kavi is a word that means learned person, often a poet, Kavi Raj. So, no, I'm not praying for great learning, you see. Jagadisha, Kamaya. Now he understands, you are the Jagadisha, you're the Lord of the universe, you can give anything you want, but I'm not asking for that. And then he says something interesting, Mama Janmani Janmani, means birth after birth. So now he's saying, I don't even want liberation, because if you're asking for birth and birth, the implication is there, the conclusion. Bhavatar bhaktina haituki tvahi. This is what I want, birth after birth. Please give me unalloyed, unmotivated. Now, I spoke about this word. Please give me devotion to you that is not materially motivated, that is spiritually motivated. What's the motivation? Love, devotion. That's purely motivated like that. So that's the most valuable thing. So he's explaining, Krishna's explaining here in the form of Lord Chaitanya, this is the most valuable thing in the universe, out of the universe, everywhere. Anything material that we may ask for or desire is temporary. Our relationship with it. You may get the wealth. Did I say Om Jnana? I think I did? Okay. Are you sure? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm getting forgetful. See, not only old age. So the point is that if you're really intelligent, you'll pray for the most valuable thing, right? And if you're not so intelligent, as Krishna says, kamais taistai rita jnana papanyate anya devata tantam so that's what Bhagavatam says. That those whose knowledge is taken away will go to the demigods and pray for some material thing. But their knowledge has been stolen, real knowledge. They're in ignorance of what's really valuable. And even if they get it, if they have great faith in the demigod, Krishna will make that faith strong, and they'll pray to Indra, please give me or was it Uma, I think, pray for a beautiful wife. There's a whole list in the beginning of the second canto. So then if they're pious and they do the processes just right, the sacrifice, then they can go to heaven and enjoy. But Krishna says, Tetam bhuktva swagalokam visharam chine punye matyalokam vishanti. After you enjoy like anything in the loka, time's up, your punya is used up, then you get thrown down back to this world of death, matyalokam vishanti. So going and coming, you don't really make any progress. It's a big waste of time, and it's delusion. So Prahlad has said so many things before, and finally he's asking for this benediction, which is, hold on a second, I goofed up. Which is universal. In other words, any sincere devotee can pray like this. And that's why Queen Kunti's prayers is universal. This is the sign of someone who's practicing or aspiring to practice pure devotional service. And I wanted to share with you, I happened to be reading Krishna book yesterday, and one of the most favorite chapters of Prabhupada was chapter 47, which is the second chapter describing Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan. Now Uddhava is a very intimate friend of Krishna's and a trusted advisor. And Krishna's in Dwarka, and he wants to send a message to the gopis to encourage them, to pacify them, because he hasn't returned and he knows they're suffering in separation. So he sends Uddhava there for two reasons. One is to give him a message, and he wrote a message down in Prabhupada's Krishna book, it's described like that. And he's going to deliver to them a message encouraging them, and at the same time Uddhava is going to experience the pure devotion of the gopis. He's going to see that, and he'll be blessed also by that. So Uddhava goes there, and because this happened because he's so meditating all the time on Krishna, he looks something like Krishna, and he happens to be dressed like Krishna. So he shows up in Vrindavan, and the gopis say, "Who is this? Who is this boy? He looks just like Krishna. He's dressed like Krishna." And then when they learn that. And at first, I think he goes to Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj and comforts them, and tells them news about Krishna, And then he mentions he has a message from Krishna for the gopis, and at first he's praising them and says that they don't want to hear that. They want to hear the message, so they go to a secluded place. Meanwhile, Radharani is so mad in separation, loving separation of Krishna, that she sees a bee. And she thinks that bee is also a messenger from Krishna. And so she starts this song to the bee. It's very famous. And the Avishna Chakravarti has analyzed it. There's 10 verses, and each one expresses a different kind of mad ecstasy and separation from Krishna. It's wonderful. So she's that song of the bee is there. And then Uddhava sees the level of devotion. He starts reading the message to Krishna. He doesn't want to show them the letter. You know why? Because Krishna was so emotional when he wrote it that they'll get upset to see that he's also feeling some separation. You know, so he reads it to them, and basically he's telling them, "You're never separated from me. I'm always with you. I'm all pervading. I'm in everything, and I'm always thinking about you, and like that." And it's very encouraging for them. They're very enlivened by that, obviously. And then Uddhava has a few wonderful verses glorifying the gopis. One of them is very famous, and he prays. Remember what he prayed for? He prayed that he would take birth as a bush near Vrindavan, so that the gopis' dust would be on him. Prabhupada explains in the Krishna book, he was a little afraid to ask them directly to take their dust and put their heads on it, their feet on his head. So he prayed to take birth as a little shrub, so that the dust would be on him. You know, and then at the end, there was he's about to go back. I think he was there at least 2 months. And all the residents come and gather around him, and they give him all these gifts, you know, to give to Krishna and Balaram. And so he's about to leave, and then there's these wonderful 2 verses describing where the Nanda and all the cowards, they offer a prayer. Now they're actually offering a prayer to Uddhava. So this prayer you can actually offer it to Prabhupada, you know, to please give you the benediction. As Uddhava was about to leave, Nanda and the others approached him bearing various items of worship. With tears in their eyes, they then addressed him as follows. May our mental functions always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. May our words always chant his names, and may our bodies always bow down to him and serve him. Wherever we are made to wander about this world by the Supreme Lord's will, in accordance with the reactions to our fruitive work, may our good works and charity always grant us love for Lord Krishna. So here's another couple of prayers that we can all appropriate and offer to Prabhupada. So you see the theme is that the great devotees often or sometimes it'll be after purification. I'm thinking of Dhruva. You know, Dhruva, he wants that kingdom, right? Greater than his great-grandfather Brahma. You know, so he performs all this austerity for 6 months, but at the same time, because he's working under Narada Muni's instruction, he's following the instruction, he's chanting the name of God, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and doing, I think, rudimentary deity worship. If you're near us, you can take some mud and make it in deity like that. So after all of the austerities, you know, first he ate the fruit that fell from the tree, then he didn't eat that, just to leave, then he stopped eating, just breathing, then he slowed his breathing down, and he entrained the universal breathing, and all the demigods are having trouble breathing. So they go to Vishnu and say, "Can you do something, please? Can you go down to your devotee there?" So he appears before Dhruva on Garuda, and then it describes how Dhruva opened his eyes, and he went into total ecstasy, and it was like all his senses, you know, with his tongue, he was licking up the feet of Krishna, and he was just like, and then he offers this famous prayer, which isn't in the Bhagavatam, but it's in the Hari Bhakti Sudhori, I think, a collection of famous verses. So he says, Swaman Kratarta, he says, Sthana Bilashi Tapasistitoham Tvam Traptavan Deva Manindra Guhyam Kacham Vichinva Nabidivyaratnam Swaman Kratartosmi Padang Niyashi. That's the famous line. Prabhupada would also often just quote that line. But he's saying there, Sthana Bilashi, ardently desiring a sthana, a position greater than anyone else in the universe. You know, it's a little child that's just a 5-year-old boy, you know. I don't want my father's kingdom, let me get a kingdom greater than Brahma, you know. So, Sthana Balasi, I was situated in severe austerity, tapasistitoham. But now, can you please fix this? 1,000,000 times I've said, just pull that. Okay, thanks. But now I've gotten you. So I realized, Kacham Vachinvan, I was searching after broken glass. The kingdom of Brahma, you live for 311 trillion years on that planet, you know, it's just like broken glass. Compared to what? Your darshan, love for you, and you're appearing before me. Abhi Divya Ratnam, the divine jewel of your darshan, I've gotten. So then the punchline, if you will, Swaman Kratartos Mivadang Niyache. Oh my Lord, I don't desire anything else. Svaman Kritatno Sivaram. Here's the word varam again. Benediction. Varang Niyache. I don't desire any other benediction. So his desires had been purified. And this is the central principle of Bhakti Yoga. Is that we don't try to forcibly suppress the senses and control the mind by sheer force. I'm breathing. Let me breathe. Let me go to a very quiet spot. It's too noisy in here. Let me go out. Hare Krishna. And just Om, Om, Om. That's not the principle. That's chapter 6. It's a bona fide process, but it's practically impossible for modern Kali Yugites. And so the process is, as we've been given it so systematically, Srila Prabhupada translating the Nectar of Devotion, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, the essential books, that we surrender to Krishna, but we don't become inert. We try to act in such a way with our mind, our intelligence, our body, our senses to please Krishna. And in this way, you purify your existence. And gradually, the love that's already there, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabonoi. Sadhya, it's not something, in this case, sadhya means that it has to be brought from outside. It's eternally in the heart. Now it's been perverted, this famous phrase, perverted reflection. All the love. I wrote this little poem, forgive me, but it encapsulates this philosophical idea. It's about, we've all seen one or more pictures of this, of Radha and Krishna swinging, the swing festival. We actually have it once a year, coming up now. So it's an idyllic scene. They're swinging in the Yamuna, the flowers are there, and everything's perfect, So just visualize that. Where blooming flowers spread their sweet perfumes, where clear Yamuna flows and songbirds sing, where all the land the lovely light illumes, Sri Radha and Sri Krishna gently swing. This pastime of the love in Braja's bowers forever charms their dearest devotees, whose hearts Sri Krishna's sweetness overpowers, obscuring his prodigious potencies. Whatever in this world we know as love is just a shadow of the love they feel. The wise aspire to learn the secrets of devotion's path and taste that love ideal. So that's really the determination that we need to maintain in our marga, in the path in Bhakti Yoga. And that is that we don't want anything material. This is the first principle, practically. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam. Now this is the description describing the guru we are supposed to see, but we should also embrace these ideas. So many urges are there. The urge to speak, nonsense, not Krishna Katha. Vacho vegam, the mind, doesn't the mind have its own, forgive me, I used this so many times, you've heard it. I'm not going to use it again. But the mind has so many urges to go here, do there, hear this, do this, think this. That has to be controlled. Krodha, anger, Vacha, Manasa, Krodha, Vegam, Jivha, Vegam, the tongue, belly, and genitals, all these Vegas. Etan, Vegan, Yovasha, Heta, Dira, Sarvam, Apimam, Pitabingsa, Shishat. If someone can control all them all the time, not just once in a while, then you can make disciples all over the world. Because the only way to control them is by dovetailing your consciousness to Krishna. And when it comes time, to using the mind, and use the mind for thinking of Krishna and memorizing verses and thinking of ways to spread the movement of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said that's the best way to control the mind. Always be thinking, how can I help spread Krishna consciousness? He says it in the purport. So, and of course the words, we have a choice. We can always just chant Hare Krishna and glorify Krishna, or we can read Srimad Bhagavatam. We can discuss them amongst ourselves. This is how devotees are meant to associate, by enlivening each other in Krishna consciousness. How does that go? Smaranjak smaranam, by remembering and reminding each other of Krishna. Remembering Krishna, reminding, by Krishna Katha. So the point is, all the senses can be engaged in service to Krishna, and they become purified, beginning with the mind by chanting Hare Krishna. Cheto, Darpana, Marjanam. That's what it means, purifying the heart. And Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabonoi, Shobhanadi Shuddha Chitte Kardaye Hudoi. This is a verse that Lord Chaitanya is teaching to Sanatana Goswami. He's teaching him in the Madhya Lila. So the eternal perfection of Krishna Prem, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhyakabanoi. It's eternal. It's not something that's going to be brought from the outside. It's already there in your heart, but it's covered and distorted. So, how do we discover it? Uncover it. Shravanadi Shuddhachete. Hearing, etc. Right? Hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, all 9 processes. But those first 3 is the foundation. Hearing, chanting, remembering. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte, it's the same instruction. By purifying the heart, the consciousness through hearing and chanting, etc., it automatically awakens. You don't have to try anything else. That is the process. So, Prahlad knows this. He doesn't want anything material. He paints himself, I'm born in a demonic family, so please don't tempt me, my Lord, because I'm surrounded by all of these material desires. Of course, he's completely pure. He's proved that. But he's teaching us by his prayer. And this one for me is like this is his first request. What's his second request? Who knows? It concerns his father. Please deliver my father. His father was such a rascal, and he doesn't know apparently about the whole background. How he's on his way back. He's the first. He and his brother are the first of 3 pairs, Jai and Vijay, before they go back to the right. But while they're demons, they're solid demons. They're not pretending. They're all completely covered. But Prahlad, in typical sadhu fashion, pure sadhu fashion, is praying for the deliverance of his enemies. And Prabhupada always give the example of Jesus Christ, and that amazingly, and Haridas Thakur, of course, also. So this is for me, the high point of the prayers is this verse. And just a little sidelight, Sanskrit. So here's this word, right? Vadadarshaba. The best of the Vadada Rishabha. Rishabha means the best. Lord Rishabdev means he's the best human being, like that. Rishabdev in the human form. So Vadada Rishabha. Now Vadada Raj, the king, he's also Vadada Raj, the king of benedictors, is Krishna. He can give the best, the most to everybody. That is the name of a devotee, an early devotee, who's been known as Bhardraj for the last 50, 60 years. But his name is actually Varadaraj. Prabhupada spelled it Bharadaraj because the V and the B, especially in Bengalis, they Vrindavan rather than Vrindavan, So just a note, if you mention the name Bharadaraj, do you know that devotee Bharadaraj? No, most of the devotees say, no, who's that? Because his name, because there's a bird named the Bharadaraj, who's a very sweet singer, and he's known as as a very kirtaniya, very nice kirtan leader. His son, famous, Gauravani. He's the father of Gauravani, but Gauravani is more famous than him. Okay, so let's see. Now, Prabhupada says, devotees are all in the positive platform in contrast to the Mayavadis, who want to make everything impersonal or void. So, can you imagine, it's so antithetical to bhakti. You don't have to be practicing Krishna consciousness for very long to understand how abominable is the Mayavadi business, that ultimately we have no form, we have no senses, and everything. Well, how am I going to serve Krishna? The point is, that kaivalyam narakayate, this kaivalya merging into Brahman, whatever it is, for devotees, those who've been blessed by the sidelong glance of Lord Chaitanya, that's what the verse says, they regard this as going to hell. Why? Because there needs to be 3 things for the practice of bhakti. Who knows what they are? You know what they are? No. Yes, thank you. Bhagavan, the Lord, the devotee, right? And the service itself. Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Bhakti, right? So where is that in the Brahmajyoti? Where is that in the void? You're negating your own personality, what to speak of the Supremes. So for the devotee, let me go to hell as long as I can chant Hare Krishna. There's the phrase, with Krishna, hell is heaven, and without him, heaven is hell. You see? So that's also in the verse. Pushpa. What is an Akasha Pushpa? Come on, Mukunda, you know both those words. Sky flower? Yeah, the sky flower. So, if I suggest to Bhakta Chad, Prabhu, can you please get a few sky flowers we offer the Prabhupada today? You think I'm nuts? Because there's no flowers growing in the sky, right? So they're imaginary thing. They're Prabhupada phantasmagoria. But in the material world, in material consciousness, everyone is striving for these phantasmagorias, things that seem to exist and that you can even experience in your imagination practically, but ultimately disappear. They're not there. And that's what all material life is. You're striving so hard for that which will not exist. Will-o'-the-wisp. Even if you succeed, I made the money, I got the girl, I got the house, this and that, I'm successful. How long will it last? Right? Time is taking it all away. And even when you're enjoying it, it's producing so many things and it's so fragile. It's my favorite. I'm just going to surrender to it. Every class I give, I'm going to chant that verse. Yehi sangsbhajaja boga dukkha yona evate ajandamantan konte yanate shuramate buddha. We all need to be convinced of this, actually, to advance in devotional service. That boga, the general principle of enjoying the senses, is the source of misery. It's certainly the source of you forgetting Krishna, right? If you indulge in that, something like that, and in order to do it, and that in itself is anathema. Anathema is something you hate, you don't want to even experience for a real devotee. So that's why we get that famous verse from Yamunacharya, right? Yadavadi mama chetak Krishna padadavinde nava navada sadhaman yuditam rantamasid. Ever since, my mind has been absorbed and enjoying at every moment the mellows of serving the lotus feet of Nandanandana. So he's experiencing bhakti rasa then. Ever since that, tadavadi. So it's yadavadi tadavadi. Since that, then this has happened. Tadavadi bhatanadi sangame smaryamane bhavati mukhabhakaro sustanishtimanancha. Prabhupada says immortally, I spite on it. I spite on it. So ever since now, he was a king for a while. For some time, he had the kingdom. He won in the contest, and I won't tell that story again. So he enjoyed kingly delights, unlimited harems and this and that. So he's now, whenever that, because sometimes things come up in your mind, So he just remembering, whenever I think of that, my lips turn with the taste and I spit at the thought, Now that's an advanced program. That's an advanced reaction, In other words, that which was once the thing that you longed for and that was your ideal, you realize that was now my heart has changed and I just can't stand that. It's not tempting or anything. And we saw that with Haridas Thakur famously, And Prahlad really here he's voicing it. He doesn't really want anything material. He could have just faked it, and learned all the things and then got the kingdom and grown up to be his second in command and eventually take over. He didn't want to even do step one with that. The first thing he said, he challenged his father, knowing that it was going to enrage him. What did you learn the best thing today? Oh, I learned the arts of the divide and conquer, and he could have just faked it. He says, no. What I learned today is that those who are trying to enjoy this material world are fools, and they're suffering. Our minds are always in anxiety. Just look, there's so many famous multi-billionaires. Is Jeff Bezos really, your ideal? Does he have it all made, if you study his life, it took so much struggle to get that. Then he cheated on his wife. His wife found out. She left him, took billions. You can imagine, billions away. And then he bought the Washington Post, but that's failing now. There's a rebellion in the newsroom or something. In other words, whatever. And this other guy, Musk, oh my God, he goes, he's nuts, So they're all like that. You have the billions, but it's a huge burden around your neck unless you're Ambarish Das and you use it to build a big temple. He didn't have billions, but he had 100 million or so. And he gloriously, just built that. Maybe some of you may not know this, the history. Back in the early 80s, Prabhupada's two samadhis, the actual samadhi in Vrindavan, and the Pushpa samadhi, where you take flowers that were on it, but he was wearing a garland when after he passed, and they took his form out into the, they had a whole procession. So that's very sacred. So that becomes, you bury that in a sacred place like Mayapur, and then you erect a very nice memorial there. That's called the Pushpa samadhi. So that neither of them was getting built properly because of problems in ISKCON and leadership and all this stuff, and it was a scandal, really. So Ambarish, who wasn't in the leadership at all, he said, all right, I'm going to build the one in Mayapur. And I think it was $13 million, which was a lot more than it is today in the 80s. And he built the whole thing. And because we engaged a devotee who was a very skilled architect, he was Italian. So it looks like the Vatican, because anyway, it's very wonderful. If you go to Mayapur, you visit that. And you go in there, and there's all these paintings up on the top, and there's Prabhupada, and you can. They sometimes have the Mangalartik there. So that's perfect. He was inspired by Prabhupada. He loved Prabhupada so much, and then of course the big project even more. He's sponsoring it. And I saw in the. I was watching the YouTube videos of the opening of the Nisringa wing, in the TOVP, and he was there, So was Vijay. I saw Vijay sitting there. He gave a class with Navina Nirada and Jai Pataka Maharaj. So, and there was Ambarish. I was troubled. I'd never heard it. He's in a wheelchair, and I didn't know what is going on with that, And then I heard later, it looks like it's like maybe Parkinson's or something, But he was in the wheelchair, but he was blissful. He was, everyone was so thankful to him, and so that's the essence of bhakti. If you have whatever facility you have, and we all have something. We have the tongue, we have the voice, we have the mind, we have the feet, we have the hands, right? These are our agents, and we can either use them to get more entangled in Maya, or we can use them to serve Krishna, become purified, and discover our actual eternal life of bliss and knowledge, which is the ultimate in bhakti. And you never lose it. Even if you go crazy and you leave, or whatever, you do something, your assets will be there in your next life, which is totally not there in anything material. In fact, the more that you struggle to make material things, especially in this age, you have to perform so many sinful activities, step on so many people, cheat here like that. It's a bad investment. Let's put it this way. We have investment. We can invest our time, our energy, our intelligence, our words, everything. And this is the best place to invest in Bhakti Yoga, in Krishna consciousness. So I'll end there. If there's any questions, comments.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Anyone local? No. Okay. Mukund Prabhu.
Maybe I was trying to. You mentioned with this Varadarshaba or Varadarshaba.
Yeah.
You said that, and then there's the name, which I thought most devotees call him Bharat Raj.
Bharat
Yeah,
Raj.
as if like king of Bharat. That's what most.
No,
that's
no.
kind of the way that devotees kind of say his name, isn't it? Bharat Raj.
They do say Bharat Raj.
Yeah.
Because the Raj is right. Bharat Raj. The Raj is okay.
I see.
But Prabhupada spelled it because it was spelled Bharat Raj.
I see.
And so no one knew what it meant. So this must be this nice bird that sings so nicely because he sings. So it's kind of like that.
There's another take on it, which is that it's Bharat Waj, I guess, or with a W or a V, because there's like a Brahminical name, but it's BHARADWAJ, because there's some Brahminical name, Bharadvaj.
Yes, I've seen that also.
And so Bhaktivedanta Swami says he thinks it's obviously that one because, I mean, he had some breakdown, but I guess in that case it would be Bharata, meaning like bearing, and then Vaj means vigor or strength. So it's like bearing strength. So he's saying that's a common name. So he was saying, I think Bhaktivedanta Swami was talking about different names in ISKCON, kind of like you were saying, different names in ISKCON which are understood one way, but that name doesn't exist. So he was saying, the Indians in the crowd, you all know what name this is, Bharadwaj, you know. But in India, in America, they think it's Bharatraj, king of Bharat, or something like that.
Yeah, there's
So we
all
go
kinds of
with it.
mistakes.
That's his name. So
I'll tell you where, you know, I was somehow this morning, it came because of this verse, I was looking in the database. And his name is spelled correctly once. And that is like one of the original Vyasa Puja books where they used to list all the names of the devotees in the centers, you know. And there it is, Bharadaraj. The only thing different, the only problem in the spelling is the B for the V, Bharadaraj. Otherwise, it's BH, you know, Bharadaraj. Because, and if you look, there's a bird. You know, there's a singing of a bird, which I think is what people, but anyway, it's very...
But why, I guess, why do you think it couldn't be this other one, I guess? Do you think it couldn't be
no,
this other one?
No, because we know that, right to your Gurudev.
Because this, you are familiar with this name also? This Bharadwaj that Bhaktivedanta Swami was referring to?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I'll okay.
You can research it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah, I guess he's a rishi. I thought you said he was a saint or something like that. You're saying it's a rishi named Bharadwaj. So Vaja meaning strength. Mentioned in Bhagavatam? I didn't know that.
Anyway, it's interesting, but I just thought of it because of this verse, because it's a name for Krishna.
I see. It does seem to me that seems another take.
Yeah,
a valid other take on the name. Does someone else have something in the room before Vijay?
Hare Krishna. Just a quick question. Where does willow of wisp come from?
Will the wisp. You want an entomology of will o' the wisp? I don't know, but I learned that. You come in, Hare Krishna, welcome. Yeah, we're just almost ending the class, and you can take darshan if you like. Go ahead. You know, I'd have to look it up, but somehow the very word, you know, the word wisp is something. It's hardly perceivable. You know, where the willow comes from, I'll let you know tomorrow. I'll Google it. Oh, we have something with Sankarsha.
The last thing you mentioned was naturally we'll be stepping on people or cheating others. Like, this is the nature.
If you try, you're completely materially involved. I mean, and you have the facility, or you're into making money. You know, in other words, if that's your whole goal, then everything is subordinate to that. And you look around and you say, yeah, the really successful people, they're kind of crooks, you know, so let me go that route, you know.
So is it possible to even offer those type of activities to Krishna? If I'm going to do them anyways.
Well, I wouldn't, you know, do that, try that. That, you know, just like Arjun fighting the battle, you know, killing millions or thousands of soldiers and horses and whatever. That has to be under the direct instruction, you know, something like that of Krishna. No, we have so many. Well, let me say this: is that I think we can learn from this. In the early days of book distribution, which is like the early to mid 70s that it began. I was there in Brooklyn when several devotees came from LA, where it had been pioneered, you know, on the West Coast. Mula Bakriti, who's famous for writing that book, and she was one of the main distributors, and several others came. And to just fire up the devotees in Brooklyn. You know, we had some brahmacharis and everything who were ready to try it, you know. So they came and they taught us some things. And so what clearly was going on, you know, is that Prabhupada was very pleased when he heard the book scores, and they kept increasing, you know. So the idea of just distributing as many books as possible and collecting as much Lakshmi as possible was central to the whole endeavor. But what happened was that they had something called the change-up, which was kind of infamous. I don't know if this... People would give $20, you know, for a small book. You know, they didn't have anything else. They were in the airport or something. And you would kind of talk them, you know, because they became very, very, very skilled at convincing people, you know. Said, you know, that we really don't have any change, you know, can you give a donation, this and that. So it became... people would leave, and they would be distasteful. It wasn't really, they felt they had been cheated, but they didn't want to make a fuss. Hare Krishna. So that was going on, and a lot of books were going out, and all because we could sell more books. But it became, there were airports where they were trying to kick us out, and legal battles and this and that going on. So it came back, down to Vaisheshika was around at that time. He went through that, but he has a central thing which I think you probably know when you start leave them with a positive, feeling, even if they don't buy a book, because they know you're Hare Krishnas, and he was a very nice person, although I didn't buy a book. You see. Rather than, I sold 10 books to the person, but yeah, I had to change them up and everything, and they felt these Hare Krishnas are cheaters, because so that's the danger of that, of trying to. I said, well, I'm stealing this for Krishna, but then if you get caught, the whole movement and Prabhupada himself gets a bad name. You see, so it's very well. Who was the devotee? It was a perfect gentleman, a perfect gentleman. Prabhupada said, that was some reporter or something. So that was abandoned at one point, I don't know, in the late 90s or something, and this whole other things. And no more, change up everything, very positive. Sell the books on the strength of the book, not some kind of thing. So that idea of doing nefarious duties, we can do it for Krishna. There's a whole other adventure that I won't mention. That doesn't work. Ultimately, that's not good. We want to remain honest, and also it helps you, because then you feel good about yourself, and that gives you more aura, And then even if someone doesn't buy a book, they feel, he's a very nice person, which can come back later on, and it's positive. So that's I would never, and I think Maharaj would probably give you the same kind of thing in much stronger words, because he went directly through it. I was just witnessing it from the side. Vijay Krishna, you got something?
Yes, Dravida Prabhu, may I?
Please.
Thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, do you mind reciting again the last sentence of the purport?
I don't recite it, but I'll read it. So the last sentence is, the desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all material. That's the one?
Yes, that is the one. Thank you very much. You're most kind. Dravida Prabhu, my question is, if the desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all material, how do you explain that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna chants to Arjuna 7:16, which goes as follows, at least the English translation. Quote, O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. That is my question.
Yeah. It's a good question. I think that the key to answering the question is in the word desire, because what you mentioned there is that primarily the primary desire in all of those, especially the arto and the artarti, those who are in distress and those who don't want money, and even the others to some degree, is not primarily to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. The primary desire, especially in the obvious ones, of I need some money, I need some relief from misery, okay? And therefore I'm worshiping. That's obviously not pure devotion. That's impure devotion, but at least it's devotion of some kind. So that's the idea, is that the motive there, and there's always a motive, this idea that it's unmotivated, anyway, that's part of the lingo, but it's unmaterially motivated, is simply, the desire is simply that the Lord will be pleased. That's what he's talking about here. That is not at all material. Whereas those motives to get some money, certainly, or relief from misery, that's your actual motive. And so that is material. But because you're going to Krishna, it's auspicious. You're pious. And if you keep going to Krishna, and you see the beautiful, and you meet the devotees, and maybe you chant Hare Krishna, suddenly there's the whole other realm of bhakti is opening up there. And we see that was Dhruva was the ideal one. In fact, he's given an example by Vishnu Chakravarti and Baladev Vijayabhushan as an example of artarti. Artarti means my goal is money, you know. And not so much that you're poverty-stricken. I mean, Dhruva wasn't poverty-stricken, but you want to be rich, you know, and maybe go to heaven, you know. So that's, you know, that's in itself not pious. But Dhruva ended up as the most pious, as a great devotee. So the evolution of the desire, that's the idea. And when the desire is simply to serve the Lord, it's pure. There's nothing material about it. But it can be mixed with other desire. Okay, at least you come to Krishna. You're exposed to Krishna. Krishna's all attractive, you know, and you meet the devotees. And then, you know, I don't think anyone comes to this temple to beg for anything material, because we're not, you know, maybe they do, I don't know. But any way that brings you to interact with Krishna and pray to him ardently, even if it's something material, is good, because he'll purify it. If you're always meditating on him and praying to him, you know, then one day, like Yamunacharya or like Dhruva, say, I don't want that material stuff, you know. Now that I've gotten you, that's all I need. So that's the best I can do with that one. Prabhupada speaking here of the pure desire, just to serve Krishna, not the artos and the artartis, even the jnanis and the jigyasus. Is that okay, Vijay?
Beyond okay, Dravida Prabhu, has to be expected. Very clarifying answer to my question, and also most beautiful answer. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, I don't know how I can do better than that. Go ahead.
You mentioned you don't think people come here to pray for something material. I thought most people come here and pray for things that are material. But what were you thinking?
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I guess I just idealize it, you know, because, you know, obviously, you know, we're members here. Do you want to become a brahmachari? If you really want to get serious, you become. In other words, the overall mood here is not, because I've been in it's okay, in Hindu temples, you know, a temple where they have Radha Krishna, they'll have Vishnu and Lakshmi, but they'll also have Shiva, they'll also have Durga, they'll also, you know, like it's like a supermarket, and people definitely go there for material purposes. And probably few pure devotees go there because it's mixed. It's mixed, you know. That's the first offense, to think that the names of the demigods are independent of Krishna. Oh yeah, I'll go to Krishna for my bhakti, and I'll go to Shiva or Ganesh, especially for success at my business. And when I want some wealth, I'll pray to Shiva, you know, like that. You don't get very far in bhakti with that, right? So maybe I'm just naive. Maybe a lot of people do come here for that. But I don't think they would sit through one of these classes, you know, the Sunday feast, because you're not going to hear much of that. Anyway, maybe I'll do a little survey next time I see people. Did you come here for that, Prabhu? Are you praying to Krishna for some wealth or something?
No, I'm just coming here because I'm lost, you know, I'm just like...
Curious.
Yeah, curious and like lost. I'm just like, I just want to, so I don't even know why I just came here, just for the sake, I mean,
because
I don't know why.
that's good.
Like, I don't have no motive, like I don't want anything.
Good. That's good. But how about breakfast? Do you want some breakfast? Yeah, we'll take it. Good. You'll get some prasadam, you get the holy name, and you see the beautiful deities.
I think my mom, I asked you 2 years ago, what's your secret to staying younger? Because you told me remember you told me that smoothie thing?
You sure it was me?
Yeah, it was you. Yeah, and my mom,
I told them your smoothie recipe once.
Oh, the smoothie recipe.
yeah.
No kidding.
I remember, yeah.
And you haven't been back since because you had the smoothie recipe. Boy, no wonder why I'm having trouble. Anyway, it's good that you're here and taking the class. And next beads, you need some beads?
I have in the room, Sal gave it to me.
Yeah, Sankarshan.
Sankarshan.
Yeah. All right, so it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very.
I remember was fired up, right? I stayed at these houses and I chanted like 16 rounds, like in the beginning, but then I burnt myself out because I did it like, I just
Okay.
did it in the beginning. You gotta start slow.
So yeah, do it. Well, you do it right this time.
Yeah,
You
just
be-
wanna start like probably like 2-3 rounds or 4 rounds and then like slowly build up.
Yeah, work your way up.
Not like with like go gung ho and like boom, like this made me depressed. I kind of became depressed because I was doing it too much. It like moved.
It can be like that. So I'm glad you have it. Yeah, it'll be very auspicious this time. Hare Krishna. All right, we need to end. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.